Hello, everybody. Sorry for another late stream, but here I am. Tonight we're going to be looking at spooks and ghosts and aliens, well, spooky aliens and stuff like that. We're going to have another great stream, but first, while we wait for people to gather in the chat, let me go off and,
well, spooky aliens.
Let me go and share my screen and stuff like that and show you some artwork from my own upcoming graphic novel, Scumdogs. All right. Here is my extreme 90s cover. As I've shown you, we've seen it before. It looks good, doesn't it, folks? This cover is for my graphic novel, Scumdogs. Scumdogs is a parody comic book. I parody the cartoons from the 80s. Cartoons we all know and love. Now, the Scumdogs themselves, the actual title characters, they're supervillains who want to take over the universe. You see, the Scumdogs are former pro athletes who competed in sporting events held with superhuman monsters as the pro athletes. They're called Scum Dogs because they're scum and dogs because they become competitors and pro athletes in the Scumdog sports. They had to transform themselves into superhuman monsters. They had to become monsters and stuff like that. So they're scum and dogs for doing it. They either did it through science or through some more esoteric means. And they became superhumanly powerful monsters. Now, on this cover, they're led by, well, you can see my main characters, Death Mug and Buick Starpoon. Death Mug is the leader of the Scumdogs. He's an arrogant dictator who wants to rule the world. See, he's the purple guy with the metal mask. He's based on various villains from 80s cartoons. You can see in the way he looks. Like Skeletor, he's got a skull face. Like the leaders of Cobra from G.I. Joe, he looks like them as well. Like Cobra Commander, he's got a metal mask. Like Serpentor, he's got gold on him. And he's purple, like the Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. While his archenemy Buick Starpoon, the guy he's fighting on this cover, him and his team are mostly G.I. Joe parodies. But from the uniform, you can see that they're also They also look like they're based on space opera characters as well. You know, like Star Trek or Star Wars. Anyone wearing a similar uniform to Buick Starpoon, the guy with the pink pompadour hair over here, you see his green or white uniform and stuff like that, is part of his team in the Space Forces. Now, as I said, they're all G.I. Joe parodies, which means they each have a military specialty and stuff like that. Now, Buick Starpoon is also, as I said, based on, well, he's himself is also based on the space opera kind of character as well, like Zap Brannigan, Captain Kirk from Star Trek, Buzz Lightyear, Han Solo, or Buck Rogers, those kinds of characters. You get it right there. And as I said before, they each have a military specialty, all the soldiers who were under Buick Starpoon in his command. That means these have a military specialty, something in the military that sets them apart and makes them exceptional soldiers. So, you know, like being an exceptionally powerful soldier, or maybe they do something like they're a pilot, or they're a very great pilot and stuff like that. That really sets them apart. Or maybe they're like they do terrain work, or basically sneaking behind enemy line. Well, or maybe basically doing information work and stuff like that, like hacking stuff. You get the idea. Over here, this is another member of Buick Starpoon's team in the Space Forces, the guy with the mohawk in this dark blue uniform. His name is Roadhog. His military specialty is that he's an army guy. He used to be part of the army. Then you have this bald guy with a gun down here. His name is Beach Pounder. His military specialty is that he's a Marine, just another Marine. Then you have this guy back here in the red uniform driving that vehicle, firing off his weapons. His name is Blast Tank. He's a heavy vehicle specialist, a tanker. Now, if you get the joke there, if you think about it, it's kind of a funny joke. You get the idea. This cover is one of 3 different variant covers you can back, and it looks pretty good. Let's do this. Not too bad. Now let's look at some more characters. Over here we have Girl Friday. Girl Friday is another member of the Wild Rangers. The Wild Rangers is the name of Buick Starpoon's team in the Space Forces. She was assigned to work directly for the Wild Rangers because while the Wild Rangers fight the Scumdogs every day and save the universe, they're also complete idiots who can't do anything right. So you get the idea. Now, and they head off basically people basically saying they hate the half of people to head off all the destruction they were doing. Her superiors assigned Girl Friday as Buick Starpoon's second in command, and she hates him. She hates her job because she feels like her career in the military is over. Let's see what else. Yes. Also, Also, please hit that like button for me, folks, because hitting that like button means more people will see my content. Okay. Let's see what else is there to say. Also, remember, if you want to watch this video again as soon as I'm done making it, you go to my Twitter page go to my Twitter page at 777megachris1. There will be a link on the first pinned tweet to this video because YouTube buries my videos for at least a whole day. So you won't be able to watch this on my YouTube channel for at least several hours. All right. Also hit that bell for notification and make sure to hit the part of the bell for all future notifications for my videos. And please go share this video out on Twitter and Facebook. Here we have Death Mug's henchmen, because in all 80s cartoons, the main villain of the cartoon would have henchmen and they'd be total morons. These are my morons, or rather, get the idea. The pink guy down here is Sloppy, and the blue guy up here is Murdermouth. These guys are a couple of morons that can't do anything, and do anything right, and they're a parody of every henchman from an 80s cartoons. Those guys who are always funny to watch as they destroy stuff, basically making lives of our heroes even worse. These are a parody of these kinds of characters. You're gonna love them. Here we have Hair Metal Doctor. Hair Metal Doctor is another member of the Scumdogs. He's basically a parody of Dr. Mindbender from G.I. Joe, a mad scientist. But my mad scientist has been crossed over with a hair metal musician because that's awesome. I think it's pretty cool. He thinks of all the machines the Scumdogs use to try and take over the universe. He does it while being who he is. And here we have Miss Breasty Melons. Miss Breasty Melons is a parody of the Baroness from G.I. Joe. But unlike the Baroness, she's a completely different character. Namely, she has bigger breasts. But anyway, she only became a villain for fun and stuff like that. She's only doing evil for fun, and she wants to do evil for fun. That's Miss Breasty Melons. All right, I did that. Now, the Hair Metal Doctor pinup and the Miss Breasty Melons pinup will be included with other pinups in my graphic novel when you back it. But I will also get these pinups out to you. Well, I'll have these pinups turned into T-shirts, or rather, you can buy T-shirts from Crypto Fashions with these designs on them as soon as I'm able to make them. Okay, folks? Now, let me exit out of these, and we'll go on to Indiegogo real quick and have some fun. Feel free to hit that like button. Let's see if you have. Not doing too bad. Sorry about another late night stream, folks. Let's go over to here. Jack the Ripper Vampire Hunter has made 43,585. So that's not bad. The artwork in this book looks pretty good, huh? Let's refresh this page to see if it's moved up any. 43,585 doesn't look like it has. All right. This cover looks pretty good. This book comes from Mandy Summers. Let's see. Let's read this. A plague has swept through old London, and a newborn vampire uprising has begun. There's only one person who is basically going to get into it. Jack the Ripper Vampire Hunter. Jack is in a race against time to stop world's most vicious killer, the Highgate Vampire. Ancient vampire harbingers create a legion of all powerful newborn vampires to stop Jack's pursuit so that he may flee London, taking refuge to enter an eternal rest that will replenish his hellish powers. Can Jack put the final clues together in time to find the Highgate Vampire and stop him before it's too late? Join the hunt. Join the hunt. Get this book. It looks good. This book you can back for $25, and you have looks pretty good. Let me look up here. Everything in the box, print. The book cover $25. You have several different covers, 2 different variant covers, and stuff like that. $25. You can get a T-shirt, both covers A and B together for $50. This book comes from Mandy Summers, and it looks pretty good. Let's go back over here. Let's see. Go up here. All right. Andy Smith's First Man Well, Andy Smith's First Man 2 has made 32,367. Not bad. We also have other covers. We have, let's see, Earthbound. Oh, we have Black and White Volume 2 was made 48,928 with 10 days left. The artwork in this book looks great. You can back this book for $25, but you can also get Volume 1 and Volume 2 together, as well as another book for $65. And like that added to it. That looks pretty good. Black and White High Octane looks pretty good. It's a new book and stuff like that. It looks pretty good. Let's see. What is this book about? Black and White have boots on the ground once again as they confront, well, Jack. Boots on the ground once again as they confront Jack. All right. Okay, they have that. They have boots on the ground, huh? He begins his Burn the Mother Down campaign to bring New World Order so that the ashes will rise, the Phoenix World Order, which is ruled by deadly robots. We know that Reed and Whitney have an adversarial relationship and that Reed is usually left holding the bag when it comes to Whitney's less than stellar decisions, but will her thirst for vengeance destroy the team before it even has a chance? Keeping Whitney focused may just be the death of Reed. This is a 64-page book, and it looks pretty good. You can do other stuff as well, variant covers, T-shirts, and all that stuff. And this book looks great. Go get it, huh, folks? It looks like a great-looking book. Let's go look at this trailer. Looks good, huh, folks? That's Black and White, Volume 2. Looks like a good-looking book. Let's see this. 13 minutes in. I think I'll have maybe look at a few more books before we do anything else. Let's see. God Like the Romulus Saga. Here's another great-looking book. This comes from, well, John Malin. Everything I loved about Magic, Saturday Mornings, comic books, and anime. Best described as Star Wars meets John Carter meets Jack Kirby. Meets Jack... Well, best described as Star Wars meets John Carter, huh? This book looks pretty good. It's called Godlike. It's basically one hell of a good-looking book. You can back it for $25. But you can also get other books as well in this campaign, and they all look good. Go back Godlike. Godlike. It looks like one hell of a good-looking book. Now, I think we'll have some fun. Now, I said poltergeists and other monsters, right? Poltergeists and aliens, spooks. Now, I can look at aliens and all that sort of thing, like that and stuff like that. I think I'll go over here and look at poltergeists first and have some fun. I haven't looked at poltergeists for a while. With the word case of the Tina Rich and the poltergeists. All right, let's look at this. Let's see. Tina Rich has been a pretty rough start of things. So, 69, at only 10 months of age, her mother abandoned her at a hospital, and she was soon placed with a foster family in Columbus, Ohio, by the name of John and Josh Reed. Things were fairly normal at first, but Tina began to display temper tantrums and was disruptive at school, allegedly throwing things when no one was looking. Although she denied this, Tina began the subject of merciless bullying at school, so the Reach had her take home schooling. It was from here that the girl's personality would change, going from cheerful and outgoing to morose and despondent, with Tina rarely ever leaving the house. All this was made worse by alleged abuse by the strict authoritarian reaches, and in 1984, when she was 14 years old, things would begin to get strange. This would begin in a rather bizarre odyssey with the paranormal, which was studied in depth by some professionals in the field, but which remains unexplained. By all accounts, it all started rather suddenly. One day, Joanne Reach was making a meal in the kitchen when all manner of strange phenomenon played out right before her eyes. The lights began to flicker and turn on and off. The clock hand began to spin backwards, and the microwave turned on by itself, as well as the TV. Joanne tried to turn them off, but they would not, even when she allegedly unplugged them. Not long after this, the washing machine simply turned on by itself, and Joanne thought it must be due to a power surge. Although before long, the phenomenon had spread to the whole house, light flickering and electronics turning on and off all over the place, and this was still continuing when her husband came home from work to witness it for himself. Still thinking it was some problem with the electrical system, they called in electrician Bruce Colgert to take a look. But not only did the phenomenon stop, as I said, folks, we're going to be looking at poltergeists and spooky aliens tonight, and like that stuff. Phenomenon stopped while he was there, but he could find no problem at all with the breakers or wiring and in the home, or alien spooks and stuff like that. And I don't mean that we could be, don't just mean we'll be looking at aliens and stuff like that. I mean, just anything that comes to mind, but all with a spooky edge tonight, as we have some fun looking at ghost stories and maybe a few aliens as well, just for fun. After this, things escalated in intensity. Objects would allegedly topple over or go flying across the room. Furniture would move across the floor, and most of this seemed to happen when Tina was around. In fact, Tina seemed to be the target of much of it. On one occasion, she was pushed from her chair, and objects often seemed to be aimed at by unseen hands to be hurled right at her. One day in particular, the entire kitchen seemed to attack Tina, with glasses flying over the place to smash against the wall and floor, eggs floating through the air or contemplated across the room, and plates tossing around like frisbees. When Tina ran out of the house in terror, it all suddenly stopped, further affirming that it all seemed to gravitate towards her. The activity continued and ended up by catching the attention of a reporter named Mike Harden, who went to investigate with a photographer, Fred Seaman. The case would get more bizarre still. I should probably slow down a bit, huh? Harden would report that as soon as he arrived at the residence, a carpet lifted up and floated over to Tina to sit on her head. Shortly after this, a phone popped off its stand to jump into Tina's lap and go clattering to the floor, which Shannon was able to photograph as it happened. But mostly these strange occurrences would only happen when his camera was not at the ready, as if whatever was causing it did not want photographs taken. It was all eerie enough that Harden contacted the prominent parapsychologist William Roll, who came to stay at the house for a few days. Roll also claimed that objects did indeed move and fly across the room, but oddly, it only ever seemed to happen when no one was actually looking at the object in question. If one were to look away from the object, it would move or fall over, but never an object that was actually being watched. This seemed to be the case every time Shannon tried to get pictures and some sort of photographic evidence for what was going on, which started to make people suspicious. A lot of people were saying that it was a prank being carried out by the Tina herself, and Terrence Hines, a professor of psychology at Rice University in New York, said of this. But if it was like across the room and stuff like that, how the heck is Tina making it move to her? With strings? So she has strings everywhere, 24/7? If it was and how was it all attacking her and stuff like that? If no one was watching, if the object was across the room. The Rich Poltergeist turned out to be so elusive that no one ever actually saw a single object even start to move on its own. According to the newspaper photographer found that if he watched an object, it stubbornly refused to budge, so he would hold up his camera and look away. One of the photos obtained in this way was distributed by the Associated Press and touted widely as proof of the reality of the phenomenon. Examined closely, the photographic evidence in this case strongly suggested that Tina was faking the occurrences by simply throwing the phone and other flying objects when no one was looking. I find that maybe this looks like it could be like that because it's basically right there and stuff like that. But, and I have to say this, is that really the case here? I mean, what about in the kitchen when everything was attacking her? If all the stuff that was attacking her was close by her, then I can believe that. I can believe that if it's all close by her. But if it was like across the room and this was happening even when her family wasn't really there and they themselves saw this phenomenon, because it didn't just happen to Tina, it also happened around them as well. What could that be, huh? Nevertheless, Roll became convinced that this was a genuine case of what he called recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis, which basically means that Tina was unknowingly lashing out with psychic energy to cause the phenomenon, hence why it mostly happened around her. He requested a neurological exam for the girl, but doctors could find nothing physically wrong with her. In the meantime, the case was getting so much media attention that a team of skeptical investigators from the Committee for the Scientific Investigations of the Claims of the Paranormal, including the famous paranormal debunker James Randi, was put together to do their own investigation. However, for some reason, Randi was denied entrance into the house, which derailed the whole thing, and ultimately the skeptical investigation wasn't carried out. Increasing suspicion was that it was all faked. Randi would spend a lot of time poring through the case and looking at the photos that Shannon actually managed to take and come to the conclusion that it was a hoax or prank being perpetrated by Tina, because of course you would. I'm surprised you're not accusing the parents of doing this. I think that would be more likely than Tina, but it could be. Why? Because the parents also experienced this, so they'd have to be included in this freaking hoax, you say, because you. Right? I mean, really, I have to say that. Randi said that one photo clearly showed Tina's foot hooked around the leg of a table. He would say it was all a hoax, helped along by Shannon Hayden, who he accused of sensationalizing the story and misrepresenting the facts in order to paint a spooky narrative. Randi would say, "At least you're doing that." But I don't think this would be blamed on Tina. It could be because she's a kid, and well, she could do it and stuff like that. But I kind of have my doubts. Especially if you say the parents are sensationalizing this, and it could very well be that. It seems more likely for that, but you're accusing the kid. And I don't trust this guy either, this debunker. He himself is a sensationalist himself by coming in and making himself look like the grand guy who basically finds hoaxers. I don't trust this guy either. Really? I mean, really? Annoying. Examination of available material indicates that fraudulent means or perfectly explainable methods have been employed to provide the media with sensational details. That is true. But how do you explain if an object was thrown across the room and the girl was nowhere near it? I can believe the fact that no one actually saw anything like this, and these only moved when no one was watching them. But what degree of that is real, actually? How about the different things? How their parents themselves always also experienced this phenomenon if Tina was around, or how do we explain objects being thrown around with them being clearly basically out of Tina's reach? Now, the parents themselves could have thrown it themselves, but no one was watching. And that could be true as well. You could argue that fact. This investigation, this hoaxer, this debunker guide is basically using the most. He doesn't actually need even being that inventive or imaginative. He's just doing the same thing he's always done. And he's accusing the parents, so there's that, but that's not that really out there as well. What do I think about this? I have no idea if Tina actually staged this, but she was a teenager. Would she actually have the wherewithal to do that? I mean, this would basically sound like she was basically looking for attention then. I think that would be far more accurate description for the hoax if it were one. And the parents, her caregivers, they also experienced this stuff. This sounds like, if anything, to me, I think it sounds like sensationalism for them to get more money and become famous, possibly. But I want to know what degree that all these people did see this. What was happening? Did this actually happen? Were objects actually within this girl, and these people's hands of reach, or did this stuff start flying around the room and these people were nowhere near it? This is how they always try to debunk such things, folks. They go for the common, easiest thing. Examination of available material indicates provide media with sensational details about an otherwise trivial matter. I met with Shannon and pointed out errors of his account of the event, but he persisted in his determination to rationally represent the entire situation. The case against his version is devastating indeed. Is that your account, man? One of his public appearances were able to demonstrate my proof. He still persisted, even dispatched reporter Mike Hayden, who covered the story in the company of the photographer and managed to overlook the considerable evidence that did not serve the preferred storyline, could not support this hyperbolized. I don't trust either of these guys. I think the photographer could basically be in on it and stuff like that, and the reporter, basically, as he said, but also I don't trust this guy either, and managed to overlook considerable evidence. Okay, there's also this Weasley words you see here. What considerable evidence? Show me your considerable evidence. They always do this. They always say that it's fake, and they always use these weasel words to basically work around it, but they don't actually come up with any actual evidence showing that their claims are right, saying how they faked it. He only said that this girl had her foot under the table in this way, which could actually be, her foot might have naturally been that way when in that photograph. Doesn't mean that she actually moved the table with her mind, or doesn't mean it didn't look like that. That's the only evidence he gives. That's only one picture. How do you explain everything about it? Were all these objects naturally in her reach when they were being flung around? If they were, I would basically be on your side. But you don't go and say that. No. You just say, no, she had to have done it. No, she had to have done it. You don't give any evidence of how she did. The only evidence you give is one photograph, one foot thing. That's like saying one photograph of a ghost is truly a ghost. If it's just a picture of a blur and stuff like that, and you're like that, you're just as bad as the guy saying that it's real. It just is like this. It's very annoying. Let's get back to this article. Even just especially like that, considerable evidence. What evidence? The perfect, highly colored, colored version that the photograph offered. This version was presented to readers of Fate magazine, and a lengthy account that greatly pleased the gullible. And you are a little better. Despite this role, was convinced that this was a very real and explainable paranormal phenomenon. Especially since objects were often moving or being thrown even when Tina was nowhere near them. Yeah, he would study Tina Reach for a full 8 years, often bringing her to be tested and examined in his parapsychological laboratory in Georgia, and never found any evidence of trickery. He also discovered that Tina was unusually susceptible to electrical discharge, concocting a theory that a magnetic storm in Earth's atmosphere had unlocked psychic powers within her. Sometime during all of this, the poltergeist activity began to decrease in intensity and frequency until it stopped altogether. Tina Reach would go on to be married and divorced twice and had a child named Amber Boyer in 1992. A 3-year-old Amber died suspected to be due to physical abuse carried out by Tina's then boyfriend. Heron and Tina were arrested and charged with murder, giving them a potential death penalty. At the time, she had a lot of support from Roll, who convinced her to finally make a plea bargain, pleading guilty in exchange for a reduced sentence of life plus 20 years with the possibility of parole. Ardley Heron, who was suspected to be the one who had dealt the killing blows, got 22 years with a possibility of early parole and was released on November 2nd, 2011. And it is a tragic footnote to the story that yet through all of this, she has insisted the story is completely true. We are left to wonder what to think. Could trickery possibly explain all of the phenomenon, or is there perhaps something truly unexplainable going on here? Could this have been ghosts or some strange powers in the mind? Sadly, Tina Reach was basically stopped talking about it all, leaving it to swirl around in the realm of speculation. Okay, interesting story there, huh, folks? Very interesting. Let's see. The weird case of Dr. Reed, Stranger Karen, and his screaming alien body. Oops. Oh, no. Let's go and look at this. It's like this. Having spooky aliens and ghost encounters tonight, folks, and having some fun. Feel free to hit that like button for me. Some weird tales of aliens seem to really take on a life of their own, and chief among these are those of supposed alien bodies. In October of 1996, a man claiming to be a parapsychologist named Dr. Jonathan Reed purportedly had a rather amazing harrowing encounter near his home in Seattle, Washington. On this day, he took his dog, a golden retriever named Susie, out to the Cascade Mountains for a hike, and at one point, the animal ran off when something caught its attention out in the woods. The dog took off into the woods, barking wildly, and after a few moments, it could be heard snarling, growling, obviously in some sort of confrontation. Yeah, this is an alien story about this guy who had this alien in his for a refrigerator and stuff like that. We've read this story before, folks, but we might as well go over this quick one here and see about this. At this point, Reed thought it was a wild animal, in particular a bear, since they had seen one ambling about earlier in the day. He ran towards the barking in order to chase off whatever it was, but it would soon become clear that this was no wild animal. From here, it would begin the wild tale of malevolent alien entities, strange phenomena, and a supposed alien body kept in a freezer. Reed would claim that he had entered a clearing to see that his dog was snarling and barking at a strange humanoid creature on the ground below it. It reportedly stood about 4 to 5 feet high, was wearing a one-piece seamless black outfit of some kind, and was supposedly vibrating. He would claim that the creature had then grabbed his dog and torn her in half in a gruesome display of super strength, and that was when he had grabbed a large branch and ran at it. The creature was apparently not afraid of him, moving towards him with lightning speed, but Reed managed to hit it squarely in the head with all of his strength, sending it spiraling to the ground to lie still. When Reed provided the bizarre humanoid, he did not move, and it appeared to be dead, and this was when he heard a low humming or droning sound from not far away. Reed would say that he had gone in search for the source of the noise and come across a huge black object with a smooth surface like obsidian hovering in the air just above the ground. He also noticed that the air seemed to be charged with electricity like static in the air before a storm, but he nevertheless wearily approached the object to touch it, upon which the humming abruptly stopped and the clearing was immersed in silence. Reed was pretty unsettled by this point, so he backed away from the blackout UFO and went back to the clearing where his dead dog was, and where he found the alien still lying there, lifelessly looking around and seeing no one else out there. He wrapped up the body and brought it all the way home, where he says he took a video of it and stashed it in a freezer until he could figure out what to do. The following day, Reed allegedly did a sort of examination of the creature, filming portions of it, moving its limbs about and taking physical evidence, at which time the alien blinked its eyes and screamed about being taken out of the freezer, proving it to still be alive, and something Reed claims to have gotten on video before putting it in the freezer again. Shortly after this, he claimed that he was followed around by strange men in white vans who seemed to intently watch him at all times. Even stranger than this, he claims that at some point the alien creature miraculously regained consciousness, jumping back to life to escape back into the woods. Not long after this escape, he says his house was ransacked, but that almost all of his physical and photographic evidence had been stolen. All but a few images he had managed to hide well enough to evade detection. He claims that the mysterious men following him got more menacing, even at one point shooting at him to hit him in the shoulder. According to him, this caused him to fear for his life and go into hiding for several years before he decided. Okay, he got shot in the shoulder with actual gun, or was it something else? Because if he was actually shot, shouldn't he have gone to the hospital and basically there'd be records of it? I mean, yeah, wouldn't he go to the hospital then? I mean, there must be a record of that. A police report as well. I mean, certainly this would have turned up something more than what he said. I mean, is this a real story? It's fun to speculate if this is real or not, but certainly there had to be physical evidence of him being wounded and taken to the hospital and stuff like that. Let's get back to this. Before decided to finally come forward with his amazing story. When Dr. Reed did finally come out with his outlandish tale, it was made a lot of waves. Is he actually a doctor? Dr. Reed, huh? In the UFO community, instantly raising speculation and debate. He appeared on many radio shows, including Art Bell's program, as well as giving talks at UFO conferences and even writing a book on the whole thing titled Link, An Extraterrestrial Odyssey. He also released a portion of the video of the alleged alien that caused quite a stir and endless analysis and debate as to its veracity. For years, the story did have heavy rounds of ufology, with most people not knowing quite what to think of it all. However, his story would soon to show cracks and seams. Is that actually the alien? I don't know. First and most suspicious was that it would turn out that Jonathan Reed was not his real name at all, and that was, in fact, Jonathan Bradley Rudder. In fact, he admitted, but would claim was because he had been trying to hide his identity to avoid the mysterious agencies he believed to be still following him. And he would further add that Rudder was the fake name he had concocted and Reed his real name. Indeed, there was little to prove he is who he says he is, and it has been found he has changed his identity on several occasions in the past, something he denies. On top of this, certain elements of his story have changed with retellings, most notably, whereas he first claimed that his dog had been torn in half by the alien, he later added that the alien had in fact vaporized the animal after killing it, leaving only a pile of ash. The description of the alien craft also had some inconsistencies. At first said to be shaped like a spike, but later saying it was an obelisk. Most damning of all is that he had not one shred of evidence that any of this had ever happened, and though he had claimed to have some shreds of the alien's outfit and some biological samples he had managed to hide. He refused to allow these to be studied or analyzed by anyone. He would even claim that the few people he had allowed to look at it disappeared or were murdered, claims there were no evidence at all to back them up. It was all pretty suspect. But perhaps most suspicious of all is the actual supposed video clip of the alien. The video shows what appears to be a humanoid child-sized figure with large slanted eyes, a slit-like mouth, and slightly elongated head. But there are some red flags about it, all of which a post on this site, Midnight Hollow, points out some suspicious points as follows. I have a nice list of things I have questions about. For someone who wants to document it, he never takes off the alien's clothes, which look like human clothes. We never see the hands, feet, or legs, or any other part of the body. It actually doesn't look like there is a body in there, just some clothes in the shape of a humanoid. If this creature could rip a dog in two, a simple hit on the head deflates this creature and his strength. So you say. I find it hard to believe that the human blood looks very much like alien blood. The alien never moves, not even a twitch. It blinks its eyes, and that is all. No movement from the flat body. It blinks its eyes. Actually, blinks its eyes. If that was a mask, blinking its eyes is pretty out there as well. The flat body, no head turn, no mouth movement. So the alien has enough strength to rip a dog in two, but not enough to move its arm or leg or head. Why didn't the doctor call the police or have some other people witness it? Reed recorded the alien screaming, not with a video recorder, but a tape replayer. Reed claims it was visible and bubbly. Really, no video of that. While picking up the head and skull, the alien did not scream. So just by opening the freezer door, it screams, but playing with a head wound, it doesn't. There was absolutely no proof Rudder Reed had an alien in his freezer. A poorly shot, planned, acted video with a horrible alien doll is no proof. Not proof, in fact. Yeah, but the eye, it blinked. What kind of doll of an alien blinks? I mean, can you show me something like that? And if it was something that with an alien doll that blinks, would it be like a mass-marketed thing or mass-produced mask or something? Because if this doll blinked, that's a pretty sophisticated thing for a guy to come up with for an alien prop and stuff, just that he did in his own backyard or in his shed on his property. It's pretty sophisticated. You have to have years of training to make stuff that you'd see in Hollywood. So just a blinking alien is pretty out there for a guy just to make on his own. Does he have that kind of knowledge and stuff like that? You haven't said anything like this in this article. Though it is suspect, it's only a blinking alien and it doesn't move. Does the alien need to move around? Do you need to see its arms and legs? Does anything look more than that? I mean, really, what could it actually be? No proof. In fact, it diminishes the event. Take the evidence in it. It is crystal clear. This guy's a career con artist. So you say. But he actually has some points to it. The people who want to believe it so much as want to believe it so much. Nevertheless, people were still defending the footage and Reed's veracity at this point. Reed himself struck by the story, even in the face of scathing criticism. In 2010s, the TV show Facts Are Fake, Paranormal Files described to focus some resources on faked paranormal file on finding out the truth. And not only were they able to reproduce the notorious alien video shot for shot, yeah, I can believe that they were able to do that alien, make an actual doll that actually blinks its eyes. Yeah. But how do you explain that? How Reed did it himself? Does he actually have this knowledge? They say he's a doctor and stuff like that, but does he actually have that kind of education? Does he know electrical engineering? Does he know prosthetics? How do you explain that? It's easy for a film crew to do that because they actually have special effects artists. So how do you explain that? Reed himself but they also they were able to reproduce. But they also used FBI voice stress technology and Reed himself to find that he seemed to be lying or at least deceptive in his recounting events. Facts or faked also questioned his credentials and shot holes in nearly every part of his story. Of course they do. They have the money to do so. But how do you explain he himself having a blinking doll? I mean, yes, it's suspect, but why do these people say that these people have all these abilities, all this technology to fake a alien that basically blinks? Does he have the abilities to do that? And he is being deceptive, because if he does actually have evidence, I'd be deceptive too of aliens. If he actually has real evidence, I'd be deceptive and not really want to getting out of what he actually knows. Part of his story casting skepticism on his identity and debating that he even ever had a dog. And in the end, it was all largely debunked as a hoax. And that's because they have the money to do so. No, actually, you didn't. You didn't debunk anything. You just said if he had the technology and the money, he'd be able to make a hoax. But how do you explain him actually being able to do this on his own with no other people coming forward saying that they were part of this hoax? How do you explain the blinking doll itself? Did he have the knowledge to do that? You don't come up with any evidence saying that you only say that you could do it yourselves. Yeah, but you don't actually prove that he himself was lying. Indeed, within the UFO community, it is mostly accepted that Reed is a fraud and the video is a blatant hoax. Although this cannot be. This is where they always say he says that he's a fraud, but this cannot be proved to be 100% true either. And you haven't given, and they basically don't go into the fact that it's how he did it. They only said that he could do it if he had the technology and money, which you have millions and millions of dollars to do that and to fake a blinking alien. How do you explain that? Except that Reed's a fraud. Although this cannot be concretely proven, and that there are many arguments supporting Reed and counteracting and debunking facts or fakes debunking, such as this video. Reed also still continues to defend his story and insists he is telling the truth, and so the debate doesn't seem to have been completely laid to rest. And it was not actually at all proven to be a hoax. Without doubt, although most likely is, you can see the selection of some. See, they're basically using weasel words here, saying yes, no, yes, no. If you don't, you should just say you don't know. Yeah, and yes, they can't prove concretely that he's lying, and they don't go into the fact of how he actually did what he did with the evidence and stuff like that, how they could do all this stuff. But I will also say that he himself, this guy here, Jonathan, he's not being 100% truthful either. That is most assuredly true, because if he does have evidence of aliens, he probably would be deceptive about it and basically try to hide as much about actual evidence he actually has, because maybe he is basically being chased by the government and they do want to kill him and get all the information so they can basically hide it. Or maybe he is a hoaxer, but we don't know for sure. Well, let's say if he actually did encounter an alien, he is most likely lying about it because maybe he doesn't want to get killed by the government. And in fact, he might be working for the government. Maybe he's a disinformation guy, and this is all fake to begin with. Just to get the story out there and basically have it be fake and stuff like that. That could also be it as well. But then again, he might be telling the truth. We don't know. We just know that he has evidence, and we've seen the evidence, and people still disbelieve him. And that's fine. Right? Let's get back to this article. So the debate doesn't seem to have like that. So actually, it's been proven to be a hoax. Without a doubt, though, it's most likely. You can see a selection of images of the alien body here, and another photo here that was featured at Art Bell's show, and see what you think. What are we to make of all of this? I know. What are we to make of this? It looks very good. Images of the alien body, huh? Let's see this. Here's wow, that's actually a pretty decent puppet, isn't it? If it is a puppet, it looks real to me. Is that it? Is this another picture of it? I mean, this looks pretty realistic looking creature. Oh yeah, it does. All right, let's go back over here. 44 minutes in, a couple of stories. Poltergeists and mysterious psychic powers. Fire poltergeists. These bizarre creatures. Alright. Maybe I'll look at ghosts right now. Let's see. Let's try this. Let's see this. Creepy encounters of mysterious phantoms in the forest. Mysterious phantoms with bizarre high-tech suits. Maybe. Strange phantoms that crawled out from the internet into the real world. Surreal encounters of flying creatures that crypto, these that are paranormal and the ones that are flesh and blood. Let's see. You got a few more minutes left before this live stream is over, folks, and we're doing pretty well on it, aren't we? As I said before, rounds of fun. Mysterious phantoms with high-tech suits. Okay, maybe we'll look at this real quick. Then again, this is supposed to be a spooky video and spooky aliens. Creepy encounters of mysterious phantoms in the forest. Let's go about this. Once a very spooky place, often are orbited or paranormal or forests with their twisting trees and often remote locations. They have a way of instilling a sense of isolation and fear, which weaves perfectly in with tales of the weird. Indeed, there are numerous accounts of people coming across various phantoms, monsters, and demons in the woods. And here's the selection of some tales that may have you think twice about camping out or hiking. How long is this article? I might have to do something else because this is a pretty long article. There's the Dover Demon as well. That's definitely the Dover Demon. All right. Let's see. Then again, maybe I want to do this and look at a few of these true ghost stories. Your ghost stories, articles, famous hauntings, close encounter, articles on ghosts, famous hauntings, your ghost stories, real ghost pictures and videos. Articles on ghosts. Let's go look at this. What are ghosts? How can mediums talk to ghosts? What is the difference between ghosts and angels and demons? Shadow people, incubus and succubus. Native American smudging ceremony. Maybe I should have your ghost stories. Let's try this. The other article I might cover as well, but I just wanted to do a few ghost stories tonight. Ghosts mimic voices by virulence. Torches and things happen around me. My scary relationship with Argus City. Facialist with striped dress. Maybe. We also have true ghost stories. Let's see. Let's see a few articles here we can look at. Aliens, like that, supernatural, cryptozoology, crystals, intelligence, demons, fairy, and Alice imaginary friends, poltergeists, shadow creatures, vampires. All right, let's look at the poltergeists over here, real quick. The word poltergeist and stuff like that, poltergeist and like that. Actually, we know what poltergeist means, noisy ghost and all that stuff. So there's that as well. The other article looks a little long, and I don't really get into it since I won't really be able to finish it. True Ghost Tales. I think I might have screwed up there. History. Cats. Native Americans. Tools. Aliens. Paranormal investigation. Sleep paralysis. Halloween. Trying to find some articles here for the going. So, do you think these people actually experienced this stuff? Do you think they actually encountered an alien? this like that, and he was telling the truth. I mean, it was a spooky story, and those photos do look realistic, and that it could really be an alien. Very interesting, though. I guess we could go back to this. So let's go back to this article. Some of the first encounters we will have a sense of some sort of mysterious phantom. I really don't want to do this article because it looks very long. But then again, I'm wasting time. Some of the first encounters we will look at here have a sense of some sort of mysterious phantom creatures probably out past the periphery of the light and are staring perhaps some sort of undiscovered beast or something else. One such encounter comes from October 1995, when a witness only known as Tango was out camping with his family and his dog in the White Mountains of the U.S. state of Arizona. At the time, the darkness was coming, the day coming to an end, and the sun getting real low, and yet they had not managed to find a camping spot for the night. And as they drove along on an isolated, narrow dirt road, as the dark began to cling to them and the trees seemed to extend their branches outward in the growing shadows, they retreated into a gray amorphous shapes. Tango's father stopped to turn around the car and head back, hoping that they could find a place somewhere along the route they had come through. The dim road had a little too mysterious and inviting. This one looks like various monsters and stuff like that. I was hoping for something along ghosts and like that. Yeah, I probably should basically that this. I feel like I'm getting off track here. Where we're looking at paranormal creatures and stuff like that. Let's try ghosts and looking at this. Haunted New York mansion with 9 ghosts now for sale. Well, there's that. That sounds a bit boring. Well, look at that. Let me try this. Headless horse to a crazy bride. UK September ghost swings. Possible go to Emily Manor. Creepy photo outside of Flint Castle may be a ghost. I'm trying to find an easy story for the end of this live stream on, folks. And it's thought it'd be a little bit easier to look at than this. Spooky instances in my college. 3-horned bull-headed man with a horse legs. Okay, I gotta look at that. 3-horned bull-headed horse legs. I mean, this sounds like an interesting ghost story right here. I have always felt the presence of spirits. They often come to me as a dream, like vision. While I'm awake but almost asleep in my youth, I got flashes of scary, gory, horrifying imagery. Then I would feel a presence. I learned to communicate with mental imagery and found it if I allowed the spirits. By the way, folks, leave me a few chats. I'd love to hear from you guys. And please go hit that like button for me, will you? It really helps me fight the algorithm. If I allowed the spirits to pass through me, they could finally rest. It had been many years since I tried to talk to them. In the last 4 or so years, I've had a new experience with visions becoming more than a flash of a dead body or decapitated bloody car wrecks. I started feeling very heavy negative energy around me at home, like I'm being watched. It's strongest just before bed. The entity isn't interested in communicating or trying to get my attention to pass on. It feels content to stay and lurk around me in my bedroom. One night, a vision came to me unlike any other. A goat head with horns and woman's chest with goat legs. At some research, I discovered Baphomet. This was an image I've seen before, but it seemed to me it scared me so much before I put it out of my mind. Eventually, I performed a sage rubbing, read aloud from the Bible. The Lord is my shepherd. I felt a white candle fan the smoke and made ash crosses above the doors. I tried imagery of me cutting the head off of this beast with a sword. Since I've gotten a new vision of a 3-horned bull's three-horned bull's head, man's upper body and lower legs like a hooved animal, visions of a cliff with gray naked bodies holding onto each other, pulling each other down. I feel worried and scared, nervous this entity won't leave. I'm scared. Any thoughts? Advice? Interesting little story there, isn't it, folks? We have a few others to look at as well. Objects that move, disappear, and reappear. The cursed farmhouse. Activities in my apartment. Strange goings-ons in health. Harbor man of the house. A night visit from my father after his death. The riverside ghost. Mouse apparition pushing a protective shield. A figure on my toilet. Goodbye to a princess. The house on the corner. Interesting little stories. I'm trying to find one that we read that story just now. It was kind of interesting. Basically, a good one to go out on, I suppose. Activities in my apartment. Let's take a look at this. This is the first time I'm sharing my story here. Something helped me find this site, and after some contemplation, I have decided to type the story here. The two incidents that I'm going to share took place some time ago. Now, I also have to let you know that I'm not the biggest believer of paranormal stuff. As I've grown older, I've also grown skeptic about these things, so I don't immediately jump to the conclusion that anything is paranormal related. I try to find the reasons for those two incidents. However, I haven't been able to find any rational or proper explanation. So on to these experiences. Both of these incidents took place in my current apartment, where I have been living for 2 years with my family. For a month, everything was fine. Then one day, I found I had some kind of thought, or for lack of better words, something clicked, and then things started. Most things were easy to ignore, rationalize, or forget, but these two incidents worried me a little. The first one happened in June on Sunday night. I will have to explain this lighting situation in my room. I have two types of lights in my room. One is the main light. The other is my night light. I don't enjoy sleeping in the dark, so the night light helps with the issue. It stays on during the night while I sleep. The main light stays off. I also have the habit of waking up around midnight hours or say anything from 12 to 2 a.m. to drink water and use the restroom. On this Sunday night, I went to bed at around 11 p.m. As usual, and as usual, I woke up at around 1 a.m. to use the restroom and also get myself a glass of water. I got up and switched my main lights on and did my business, returned, drank some water, made myself comfortable, locked my door, switched off the main light, and went back to sleep. The only light that remained on was the night light. I remember the cause. It took me a few minutes to fall back asleep. Now in the morning when I woke up, I felt something was off. Then I realized the main light that I switched off was on. It confused me. I remember switching it off, but it was on. I tried to rationalize that perhaps I forgot, but I remember locking my door and then switching the main light off. I tried to rationalize that maybe I slept walked. The problem with that is that I've never slept walked, not even as a child. I am an adult now, and I don't have any medical issues. As puzzled as I was, I decided to let it go. No point in wasting my time on it. Then something else happened on Wednesday, a few days after the first incident. For context, this house is not old; it's still relatively new, and it's not falling apart. We would not move in if that were the case. On Wednesday, I was home alone. I was preparing for my classes after having made myself food and cleaned the dish. I cleaned the dish. I turned the faucet off, and I went into wait for my classes to begin. After some time, I heard water running. I was a bit confused and decided to ignore it, but just couldn't, so I went to check. There in the kitchen, the tap was running with faucets on both sides fully on. The water was gushing and the floor was completely wet. The tap, Albert, a bit old, is in a mess of rust and falling apart. It's perfectly fine. The plumbing is fine too. That tap had never done that, and has not done so since. What is more confusing is that the floor was wet enough that I thought that the water overfilled and spilled from the sink. The sink, however, was not full. There was very little water pooling at the bottom of the sink. The cabinets below were not wet either. They were in fact dry. The floor, however, looked like a bucket of water had been spilled. The sink is big enough that it catches the water. The water doesn't go to the floor. Even if it did, I'm sure the cabinets would be at least a little wet, but as I said, they were completely dry. I again rationalized that maybe it was a faulty tap or that I forgot to turn it off. Cleaning the house up, I just tried to forget about it. I'm coming to terms with it as time passed out. I just want to stop before it escalates any further. This may be the first physical activity after moving to this apartment. I've also been having nightmares and sleep paralysis episodes almost on a daily basis. After the first month, the only time that I had one was when I was in my early teens, because I decided to watch a horror movie I wasn't ready for, and nightmares were also only from horror movies. Or if I was sick, just child stuff, nothing disturbing. The nightmares I have now are disturbing most of the time. Anyone who shares the room with me will have sleep paralysis episodes at least once during the stay. I don't think these are stress related, as they began before my stressful student life ever began. Even then, my life is regular. The only stress I have is when we have projects and assignments. Even then, it's not a big deal. It's not big, huh? Yeah, interesting stories. That was a pretty good one. All right, we're going to have to end this live stream. But hey, we had a pretty good one, huh, folks? going to have to ask you to please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you would, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. The name of my YouTube channel is Read Comics That Are Bad For You. Remember, the there in the title is misspelled. It's THERE. So it's Read Comics That Are Bad For You. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications, okay? Also, remember, when this video is over, if you want to watch it again, please go to my Twitter page at 777megachris1. There will be a link to this video on the first pinned tweet, okay? Because YouTube buries my videos, and if you want to watch this video again, you can do so by going to my Twitter page at 777megachris1. That's at 777megachris1. Oh yeah, as I said, hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit that part of the bell for all future notifications for my videos. Yeah, hit that part of the bell for all of my future notifications for my videos. And please share this video out on Twitter and Facebook. Also, please go over and subscribe to Stitched Together Picks. Stitched Together Picks is a YouTube channel hosted by the Maniacal Cinephile. He reviews movies. You're going to love his stuff. He plays a character with a split personality, so you're not just getting one character, you're getting a whole bunch. Also, please go over and subscribe to Robot Co-op. Robot Co-op is like Mystery Science Theater 3000. They do these live streams with these puppets, and when they play video games, and they are so much fun to watch. Watching them is just a lot of fun. So go and subscribe to Robot Co-op. Also, please go and subscribe to Creepy Little Book. Yeah, Creepy Little Book is like the Art Bell radio show. He does little videos talking about high strangeness, but he also does live streams every night. He live streams on weekdays at 12:30 a.m. and on weekends at 10 o'clock p.m. He talks about aliens and ghosts, and you learn so much from watching his live streams. They are just great. Remember, folks, I'll be back again tomorrow around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 11 o'clock p.m. for another live stream. So be sure to come back again then. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all